Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the, what date is it? May 25th meeting of the Board of Education for Berwyn South School District 100. Could I please have a motion to reconvene into open session?
I'll motion.
All right, motion made by Gonzalez, seconded by Jimenez, to reconvene open session at 7:01 p.m. On the roll call, aye or nay?
Lopez, aye. Dawn. Aye. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Andrews. Aye. Dressel.
Aye.
Steinfeld.
Aye.
Jimenez.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Now may I have a roll call to establish a quorum?
Andrews. Here. Dressel.
Here.
Dawn. Here. Lopez, here. Jimenez.
Here.
Steinfeld.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Before we move on to the superintendent's report, I just want to let everyone know that if there's anyone in the audience that needs Spanish interpretation, Julie Escobar, our family liaison, is available for that service. And she's right over there under the monitor. And we will move on immediately to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our May board meeting. This is always one of my favorites, one of all of District 100's favorites, because we get to honor the people who have dedicated so much time to and energy and service and love to our students and our staff and our families here in District 100. So we are going to hear a little bit about each of our retirees tonight, and we will also have the opportunity for the board to congratulate them. And so we will go in order of how they are written on the agenda, and I would invite the board to stand over on the side so that we can congratulate each retiree. And then I would like to invite up, are you doing this? Okay, Ms. Akabazi to do our first retiree recognition.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I want to apologize before I start this because I am going to break into song just for a moment. Now, for those of us old enough to know this reference, I would like everyone to stop and picture an Austrian mountainside and Julie Andrews standing on top of the mountaintop, ready to burst into that infamous lyric. And here we go. The Pershing hills are alive with the sound of music. That is because the phenomenal Denise Farley is leading her Panther performers through the hallways singing a familiar tune. Denise has brought music to our hallways and our lives for the past 35 years. She is one of those educators that everyone fondly remembers, from the current and former students, the families she has gotten to know, and the staff who currently don't want to even talk about Pershing without her. She truly has impacted the lives of so many by simply just being herself. Her passion for music and her love for teaching were evident every moment she has spent in our building, and we are all better for having her as a coworker and a friend. Thank you for your positivity and your good nature, for cracking a joke when things get tense, for giving a hug when you know one of us needs it, and for always, always, always walking our Pershing halls with a smile. Your laughter and contagious spirit will be missed when you leave us. We love you, and we hope those pups of yours know how lucky they are to be getting you full time. Love, your Pershing family.
wake up all these Pershing people.
Monica was Pershing for a bit.
She was. I was too, yeah. Only joking, and I'm definitely not going to be breaking out into song. But I'm here to honor Monica Click. So I thought we'd start at the very beginning. Monica has worked in various roles in District 100 over the past 20 years. First and most importantly, she entered our school district as a parent. Her daughter Megan and her son Steve both attended Irving and Heritage. As a parent, she put in countless hours with the PTA, volunteering at market days, craft fairs, cupcake days, honors and sports banquets, book fairs, and also often served as a room parent. She saw a need for substitute teachers, and she stepped out of her comfort zone to become one. Those of us who have subbed know that she deserves the Medal of Freedom for taking on this role. Or actually, maybe on her tombstone, her grave should read, "That is a life well lived," or maybe even "A saint lies here." Not to discourage subbing in D100. After subbing, she joined us full-time as an invaluable paraeducator in numerous classrooms. Since then, she's done an outstanding job supporting our students who need the most and their teachers. So that's what she's been doing since the beginning of September 2002. But who is the real Monica? I thought we would start with the good side. She's reliable, she's flexible, she's tough, she gets her point across. She has always been invested in staff and student success. She's old school and doesn't apologize for it because she believes that rules are rules and kids need to follow them. She has causes and pursues them no matter peer or student pressure. For example, a recent cause was to get her students to memorize their personal identification numbers. Another cause of Monica's was to help enforce the no hoods in school policy. She's done such a good job with that cause that our 5th grade students have coined her with the nickname Hoodie Police. Monica, I got a hoodie right here for you. It's an Irving sweatshirt to remind you that we value those standards. Wear it up over your head, but I'm sure you know, wear it down when you come back to visit. It looks like we have a saint here, Monica, but now it's time for the bad side. Monica, Irving fought to bring you back after you were transferred to Pershing because you were that good. And after all these years, I didn't see this malicious side of you. But today, as we anticipate your retirement, we know that you are a traitor. You are abandoning us after all these years of loyalty we showed you. You are walking out the door on us into the sunset to be able to ride behind your husband, Mike, on his motorcycle. You'll be hanging out at the VFW hall and spending more time with your children, Megan and Steve, and your 5 grandchildren, Elliot, Michael, Adriana, Landon, and Emma. How dare you do that to us? Kidding aside, Monica, you've worked hard towards this day. We wish you many years of good health and happiness ahead. You deserve it. You will be missed. Congratulations.
Hi, good evening. Teresa and myself are here to recognize Terry Mackey from Komensky and Pershing. It is with great honor that we recognize our very own Terry Mackey as a leader in District 100's vision for reading, education, and beyond. From lunch and recess supervisor to tech check-in, makerspace supporter, and running the library, you have put your heart and soul into our Komensky family for 29 years. Her commitment to students' love for reading goes far beyond the walls of our library. She has created a connection to stories, read-alouds, and characters of novels for an incredible amount of students and staff alike. Staff has described the library to a well-oiled machine as books circulate through the hands of our students and you read-alouds come to life through voice and variety. She has always been a team player and valued collaborator with her colleagues. She has created book lists that represent diversity in literacy and created virtual read-alouds that support our national holidays and current curriculum topics for all grade levels, even during the times when we could not be present in our library. Her devotion to children's growth through reading has affected each individual child in so many ways. Some of the students have said, your love of books is awesome and cool, and I love chapter books because of you. I like that you make library fun for our class. I love makerspace, and a memory I had from 3rd grade is when we made paper airplanes to fly. I love the books you let me borrow. Your enthusiasm for reading and desire to see our students grow as readers has always been a characteristic that we admire. Mrs. Mackey is everything Komensky stands for: dedication for kids first, school spirit, and teamwork. We won't be the same without you.
29 years have quickly flown by. The thought of you retiring makes me want to cry, because I will miss all of our long, intensive chats. So let's take a moment to explore all of your Komensky hats. A recess and lunch supervisor gives us a little start, along with being an iPad checker, makerspace teacher, and running the library with all of your heart. Your passion has been exposing the students to the love of reading as you read to the kindergartners and assisted students who were pleading. For books about sharks and the latest trend or fad, you helped them find the just right book that made him or her glad. Your efforts have been appreciated, and thanks comes from us all. And when the next school year begins in the fall, be sure to always remember us and come for a visit to see. You'll always be a Komensky Lion, especially to me. We love you.
So I have the pleasure of doing a speech for Miss Mary Nivens. Every building has a go-to person, the one person that has the answers for everything and needs them right now. That person is not me, the principal. That person is Mary Nivens. Mary's been that person at Pershing for just about 17 years and some change. We have not come to the harsh reality of accepting that she will be leaving us this year. We let her. We simply can't wrap our heads around Pershing without Mrs. Nivens, or Miss Mary, as most of the students and parents call her. The definition of organization: Mary is the glue that holds us together. From her desk in the main office, she is always there for our students, staff, and families, sometimes all at the same time. She greets everybody by their name and strives to be the first smile when a new family, new student, or visitor joins us. Have you guys ever seen Mary give a tour of Pershing? The girl can sell. She's good. Need something for your classroom? Mary knows where to find it. When we have a special event, Mary knows the schedule. When there's a question, Mary has the answer. And as Vanilla Ice once said, when there's a problem, she'll solve it. Check out the Hook Woman. No, I'm just kidding. I'll stop there. Many thank you. Mary, thank you. Thank you does not seem nearly enough to wish you farewell. Thank you for guiding me and always making me look good as an administrator. You have helped me keep my eye on the ball since I left the classroom. You think of things before I do. I'm worried. And I'm used to that. So if you want to shoot some reminders my way next year, I wouldn't be mad at you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you. I love you. We're going to miss you a ton. Congratulations.
There are so many words and anecdotes that we could share about Robin and the impact she's had on our Pershing community throughout the years. We thought it would be fun to put together compilations of compliments or feedback from Pershing staff for Robin as she leaves her Pershing Panthers behind. Whether she's leading a PD on anchor charts, EL strategies, co-teaching, or meeting teachers to intentionally plan and collaborate, Robin always has student success at the forefront of all she does. Even though retirement is near, Robin continues to work tirelessly every day to impart as much knowledge as she possibly can before she leaves. She is truly a lifelong learner. Pershing teachers are often heard saying they are better educators because they've had the opportunity to work with and learn from Robin. Robin's passion is evident in each and everything she does. She reflects, she analyzes what worked, what didn't, and what steps are next. She loves to have students engaged. She knows how important it is to give students think time, to have them speak and listen. Robin goes above and beyond planning and preparing for her ESL classes and her collaboration with teachers. Stop and take a look at the Post-it notes on her desk, her to-do list, and her notebook with crucial notes on all she needs to accomplish in a day. The satisfaction on her face when she crumples up a Post-it or crosses off an item is priceless. Robin stays late and plans her lessons and looks for resources religiously every week. She gives 100% every single day. She is a master educator. Thank you, Robin, for the impactful nature of everything you have done for Pershing teachers and students. Your lessons and legacy will be forever remembered and part of our future. We will miss you so much. Love, your Pershing family.
That was Lynn Delorier, by the way. Yeah. On the mic.
Let's give one more round of applause to all of our retirees tonight. Standing ovation. We are going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break so we can enjoy each other for a few minutes. There's a District 100 backdrop out here if anybody wants to take some pictures tonight with your families or your colleagues, and there's some snacks in the back. So we'll come back to our meeting in about 5 to 10 minutes.
turn it on. There you go. So I won't be up here very long. The first part of this session is very similar to last month. I don't know. Where do I point to? Over there? All right. You guys want to click next? We'll be good, and then I'll get out of the way here. All right. All right, you want to hit next or? All right, so very similar to when we adopted the science curriculum, we went through our vision and mission and our why, and so we shared that. If we want to go on to the next one, so very similar. So when we were adopting the social studies curriculum, we began with the C3 framework. And, you know, Leah is going to give you a deeper overview of the C3 framework, but these were some of the things that we were really looking for. Making sure that the rigor was there, making sure that we were looking at critical thinking and problem solving, and making sure that all of our programs really did align to the state standards. Next. All right, perfect. So again, when we adopted the social studies curriculum, it had been some time when we had adopted a resource last, and we wanted to make sure that we were, you know, keeping up with the times. So we went ahead and decided on adopting this particular resource. Our non-negotiables, digital access, pre-K to 8th, we were only adopting 6th through 8th, but just in case we ever needed to, we knew that that would be a possibility, and they had to be student-facing materials. Those were our non-negotiables. Our timeline, you can see, very similar. We started in March and went and adopted, you know, almost a year later where actually I think my dates are off there a little bit, but at any rate, in August is when we adopted and began implementation. Our facilitators, again, building principals, and some district leadership team members, along with our educator participants, Mr. Delacroce, Mr. Schlechtner, Ms. Bresek, Mr. Taylor, McInnes, and Alex, and Mr. Korshit, and Ms. O'Donnell. All right, so very similar. We went through the opportunity gap, and we talked about the various stereotypes that face our Latino students, making sure that everybody really understood that we wanted to give the strongest opportunity to our children. We also looked at a couple of resources that talked about the way that textbooks are written based on the part of the country that they find themselves in. And so we looked at that, and we looked at some you know, other articles that, that also described the various textbooks, so that we had that lens when we were adopting. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. O'Donnell.
All right, hello, my name is Leah O'Donnell. I'm the literacy coordinator. So when we adopted the new resource, we had a curriculum that the curriculum and assessment committees had written for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We were vertically aligned, and so when we were looking at a resource, we wanted to make sure that not only did we still continue to follow the ISB state standards and the mandatory units that are in the Illinois requirements, but we also wanted to make sure that the new resource also involved the C3 framework. It's just a deeper look at social studies. And so this is just an example when we're talking about the C3, whenever you're planning a unit with the C3 framework, it's a framework, not standards. And so when you look at the social studies through the lens of the C3, you always think about civics, economics, geography, and history within the topic to see how they interrelate, because they all do impact that historical topic. And then some big components of it are making sure that we teach children how to gather and evaluate sources, how they look at claims and think about using evidence, communicating their findings, and then, of course, taking informed action with their understanding. So those are some of the big ideas of that framework. What isn't in the C3 framework, and so things that we wanted to make sure that we also continued to do, like I said, was number one, make sure the content necessary for our social studies curriculum still maintained the standards for the state. So we wanted to make sure that we were still in compliance with that. We wanted to make sure that a resource that we might look at might also have some other disciplines beyond just those 4 areas civics, economics, geography, and history when considering and planning for historical topics and units. And of course, thinking about the different abilities and learning styles that children bring to their schooling is never included in a framework that would be looking at the students in our population. The one big part of the C3 is just understanding that social studies is an evidence-based field. And so anytime we teach a topic or learn about a new thing, we always look at it in terms of evidence-based. You know, it's not opinions, it's evidence. We look at observations and graphics and statistics and maps, lots of different sources. But we want our students to develop the ability to gather and evaluate the sources and make an informed decision based in fact and evidence. So the C3 goes through what we call an inquiry arc. And so there's always usually a essential question at the top, and then they usually have a guiding question for each of those 4 discipline domains underneath it. So we in our district tend to call it, they call it the compelling question in the C3, we call it the big essential question. And then we have guiding questions. And so one of the things we were looking for in a resource was looking to see if they would provide us with materials to have questions. And so this was some work we did to kind of think about looking at the resource and making sure that if we are teaching about like the civil rights movement, you would have a question about each of those subtopics underneath their big essential question. And then you get a much more deep understanding of the topic. What we also had was a rubric. So we used one that ISB had, and we kind of just modified it just to make sure that we were looking, like I said, for those things that we were hoping to find. When we did do all the looking at sources and logging in and had some different vendors come, TCI was the one we ended up going with. And the reason partly was their Spanish materials were the highest quality Spanish. We did look to make sure that the translations and the content vocabulary was accurate, and they have very, very good Spanish. Most of their resources, except for the videos, I feel like we're all in Spanish. But they also employ these teaching strategies throughout, which I think would enhance our current social studies curriculum. So visual discovery, experimental exercise, writing for understanding, response groups, problem-solving group work, and social studies skill builders are the main teaching strategies that you see throughout. And as we are working on instructional practices, that seem to be a good fit. So I'm going to turn it over to the real stars of the show. We have some teachers here. Mike and Khalil have been helping. I have the pleasure of working with them at Crosstowns a couple times a month, but also through the adoption process. And so History is Alive in D100. Those are just some examples of some interactive things that our students did at the end of their Greek unit and their Egyptian unit. And I'm going to pass it off to them. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Della Croce. I teach here at Heritage 6th grade social studies. What you see there are pictures of Heritage Middle School Greek Day, when we have students like celebrate Greek culture, they built chariots, and then the other pictures are from our Egyptian unit, and they wrapped each other in toilet paper, and they looked at the process of mummification, so that was really fun. One thing that we wanted to focus on for this meeting was talking about the benefits of the TCI curriculum at both Heritage and Freedom. For Heritage Middle School, I can proudly say that the TCI curriculum has really benefited students in a lot of ways. Already, we have such great social studies teachers, but it's the curriculum that really helps to unlock the potential of students. So some skills that students at Heritage helped to develop from TCI: observational analysis, using support for acclaim, using creativity in some of the activities that they did, critical thinking, which we always encourage, and working with multimodal activities. So different ways to learn, different ways to express how they feel, how they think, and that can be shown from some of those different activities online, different tables, different graphs, as well as their ability to not just say what they're thinking, but then use evidence to support that. And I'll turn it over to my colleague.
I'm Khalil Khorshid. I teach 6th grade social studies at Freedom Middle School. It seems like the crowd cleared out. I thought everyone was here for explanation of TCI and how we use it, but it appears it's just for the retirees, but it's okay, I'll explain it to all of you anyway. So as Mike was saying, on top of everything that he already went over, geography is a major part of every single unit that we use. TCI does a fantastic job of visual representation as well as asking engaging questions for people to understand the importance of rivers, mountains, seas, oceans, and how ancient civilizations were able to use them and take advantage throughout that time to increase their influence and power throughout history. So every unit does have a geography point. On top of that, TCI has engaging games that they get to play, review questions, beautiful, visual, appealing formats, engaging questions, and the students love it. We use it as a game format for them to be able to go against each other, and as you can see, every single unit has a different interface for it to change. And then finally, I use it, and I think Heritage uses it as well, for a personalized learning time. We give them about 15, 20 minutes to just sit down and read. A lot of these students don't have the opportunity to just sit down and actually read and increase their knowledge and vocabulary for certain things. And what's beautiful about TCI is it has a read aloud structure. If I don't understand a word, I simply press the button, and guess what? It's reading it to me. It has an ability to go ahead and go through every single word. So what you see up there is actually highlighting what the narrator is actually reading. So they get to increase their vocabulary as well. Reading levels tailored to every single student. If you notice at the bottom, those are the options that the teacher has the ability to manipulate, so every single student has their own unique structure. So level A for my higher level students, level B, some of them that maybe struggle a little bit. For my Spanish speakers, I could either turn it off or turn it on, and I could even have text aloud for the students, as well as engaging the main idea as well. So overall, I would say the program has worked wonders for our teachers. It allows us to concentrate all of our resources into one place instead of consistently kind of having to go through different resources and having them have it on the iPad at their disposal whenever they want has been simply incredible. So thank B and Ms. O'Donnell for go ahead and actually introducing us to it and adopting it for our program. I think that's it, all for me.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, thank you so much, Mike and Khalil, also for sharing your experiences in the classroom. It's really important for us to hear and hear you share your experiences and what the kids are doing in the classroom. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you, B and Leah, for sharing the process as well. All right, and B is going to stay up there and move on to the next presentation, which is our consolidated district plan, which comes before the board each year for approval. So you may see some familiarity in this presentation, but it's just a reminder of what the board is approving this evening.
Yeah, so every year we approve the consolidated district plan, and what this is a compilation of all of our grants that we write and we justify why we are applying for these various grants. And you'll see that the ones that are in black, those are the ones that we're actually applying for. The ones that are in red, we do not qualify for those, or we do not have those that necessarily fit the needs of our district, and so we do not apply for those. So everything else we write out in our consolidated district plan. And the main purpose of the plan is to make sure that we are overcoming a variety of barriers: gender, race, national origin, color, disability, or age. And we want to make sure that as we are looking at writing this plan, we ensure that these barriers are addressed and that we are working in all of our grants and all of our funding to overcome them. So we start the process by conducting a needs assessment, and the needs assessment really does take pretty much the entire year. By looking at a variety of resources, our 5 essentials, the district and school report cards, our data, our local assessments, our state assessments. We look at everything. We also gather parent feedback, and we have been very lucky this year that we have our parent liaison who helps support and provide some feedback to us, and surveys and so forth. We have parent meetings. Our principal team provides support and provides information at curriculum nights or school improvement meetings where they invite parents to sit in. We also have an annual Title I meeting where we invite families and we explain what the Title I program is, and we gather feedback that way. If anyone, ever needs to reach out to me, my name is on there, so if anybody even wants to add information to this, they're welcome to reach out to me as well. The plan specifics is we go through each of these sections in the plan, making sure that we have conducted that needs assessment, addressing and identifying our stakeholders. We meet with our private schools. We look at preschool, student achievement, and so forth, Title I, professional development, and we really try to get a very comprehensive view of what the needs are in our school so that we can help support the students we serve. The 3 public schools that are participating with us this year, St. Odilo, St. Leonard, and St. Francis of Rome. And the reason we go out and we send information to every public school that has District 100 students sitting or enrolled in their particular school district. And we have a consultation meeting with them, and that consultation meeting can start as early, I think, as January. And we reached out to another school as late as a week and a half ago, just because we wanted to make sure, hey, you were here last time, are you still going to apply this year? But these 3 are the ones that we were able to meet and have consultation and were interested in participating. And so what we do is they share their needs and they say whether or not they need Title I, 2, or 4, various funding sources there. And we allocate a specific amount of funding towards them. The goals of the district plan are student learning, learning conditions, and elevating educators. And so that is what we want to make sure that we address throughout our plan. And then our district goals as well go into our plan, because we want to make sure that by 2024 at least 45% of our students are meeting or exceeding state standards in literacy, and 40% are meeting or exceeding state standards in pre-K, in math. So that is the big broad overview of our consolidated district plan. Any questions? So next year I'll see you next time and we'll do a very similar. Thank you.
Thank you, Bea. And again, the consolidated plan is on the agenda for approval tonight. The next item on the agenda is the Freedom Middle School parking lot. And so this item is being brought to the board for discussion. As we are aware, there is a development that is going in on Ridgeland next to Freedom Middle School. We have reached out to the developer to see if they would be willing to have some discussions around the school district being able to have part of that, a small part of that land behind Freedom Middle School to build a parking lot to address our staff needs, our community needs, and safety. In that area, we do recognize that parking lot, if we are able to move forward with, will cover probably about 40 spots. It certainly is not going to solve all of the parking concerns around Freedom. And we also know that has been exacerbated a bit due to all of the construction in the area currently. So we have significant parking challenges for our staff. And we also have minimal spots available for when we have student events. And so communicating with the developer, they have indicated that they're willing to move forward with discussions with District 100 regarding the purchase of that. You have received, the Board of Education has received some correspondence from the staff at Freedom Middle School, as well as some of our traveling staff who are going to Freedom throughout the day and some of the challenges. But I'd also like to invite forward Principal Enrique Ojeda to share a little bit of his perspective as well.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to take this opportunity to just relay some of the thoughts and discussion that I've had with my staff regarding parking and regarding this opportunity. So it's come to my attention that there is a space within the new construction in Berwyn, just north of Freedom Middle School, that could possibly be used as a parking lot for Freedom Middle School staff, parents, visitors, community members, and I just want to express some of the concerns and thoughts that the staff have had. Currently, Freedom has a total of 25 spots reserved for staff, which on a daily basis is for staff of approximately 80 staff members. The number does not include parents, community members, or district visitors who come to our building. Having more allotted spots for staff, visitors, district employees, and community members can play a key role in the success of Freedom. Having more parking spots will allow Freedom to host and increase the amount of possible professional development for the district, district events, district celebrations. In addition to that, it allows us to provide a safe parking lot option for families and community members. If they're coming into the building, whether it's for sporting events, academic nights, at school celebrations, open house, it lets us provide to them a spot to park when traveling and coming to Freedom. In addition to the increase of parking options for special events, having a parking lot at Freedom will assist in some anxiety and frustration that's often expressed by staff members. Giving them access to a close and safe location will also help with a positive environment at Freedom. I have had many conversations with staff members who have struggled to find street parking, especially on days where they have unexpected events in the morning or need to take family members to daycare, and by the time they arrive to Freedom, the spots that are right next to Freedom are gone, and then they are walking blocks to get to Freedom, often carrying materials and supplies for their classroom. Which is even more concerning as they often have to walk through a poorly lit viaduct, and even more recently, try to maneuver through the construction that is on Ridgeland where it meets 31st. Staff members have also expressed some concerns with parking on 31st and receiving both parking tickets and damage to their vehicles. There's vehicles who travel down 31st who have hit our staff vehicles, and they have just been bystanders of that. So I ask that when considering this, we think about the safety and we think about the environment of Freedom staff and the opportunities that it will create for our community members to come into Freedom and to be more active at Freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Enrique, for sharing that. So I believe in District 100, we're all aware that all of our schools have some challenges around pickup, drop-off, parking, and that is just part of our neighborhood school model. However, Freedom has significant challenges beyond those of any of our other schools, and we have been committed to trying to find for the parking, accessing spots in various locations. And this opportunity, again, will provide us some additional spots for Freedom as we continue to explore other opportunities that could come up in the future, but this would be one that is presenting itself now. So what we'd be looking for moving forward is a consensus of the board to move forward with having conversation with Casper Development around getting a real estate purchase and sale contract for that area to build the parking lot above a retention pond, which is required for that development. So I'll open that up for any thoughts or questions from the Board of Education.
I would just, go ahead.
Okay, so I think a good question that Joel had earlier, and maybe it would be about like if we can communicate to the community what the difference between then and now. I mean, maybe at this time would there be a good time, just so they understand why we're touching this again.
Yep, absolutely. So yes, this was something that was considered a year ago. It did look a little bit different at that time. There was certainly some question around the development and what the school district's role was in that. The plans are very similar. However, this would not involve a intergovernmental agreement with the city as it would have last year. What we talked about at that time was that the TIF funding would be utilized. That TIF is not in existence anymore. And so this would simply be a real estate contract between District 100 and the developer. And the district would pay for that parking area to be built. We would continue to maintain that area, and then we would work with the developer regarding some of the stipulations that we talked about last year around access to that area, who would maintain the underground retention area, our maintenance of the parking lot, and we also discussed last year that we would prefer to have access to plow that area so we can be sure that it is cleared for our staff and our students prior to the school day. So the biggest difference would be really this straight contract between two parties, the district and the developer, and the district would be purchasing that.
I was just going to highlight the fact that we have all of our board meetings at Heritage Middle School, and many of our district-wide events happen at Heritage Middle School. And the very simple reason for that is because they have adequate parking at this building. And I would very much like to see Freedom Middle School be granted the same opportunity to connect with their school community and bring their parents into their own school and kind of wrap our arms around them. Among, there are several other reasons why I think we should move forward, but from a community level, that's really what I would like to see.
I just have a question. For comparison, how many parking spots are there at Heritage versus I have a hard time visualizing sizes.
George, do you have the number for Heritage? Significantly. Yeah, so front and back.
Okay.
George said 100, since he doesn't have a mic.
So is that about, will it be, I'm just trying to visualize.
That's bigger.
Yeah. That's
Across
bigger?
from Heritage is
Oh,
bigger.
it'll still be smaller than that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And we will, part of this discussion with the developer then would be some updated drawings. While